Hello, I am Kristin Taylor Duncan, longtime teacher at Encore, dancer, teacher, choreographer, um, friend of Lindsay, grew up dancing kind of sort of together in the same studio. And so, yeah, that's who I am. I began African dancing at a very young age, maybe 6, 7, or 8 around that time. And so there was some talk about me also joining a ballet class by my African dance teacher and my mom. And so that happened. So my mom put me in a class, and there we go. So I ended up doing everything. so, so yeah, I continue to dance because that is who I am. I am a dancer. I that you know how you kind of want to think about doing something else, and you kind of always go back to dancing. I'm pretty sure I tried to stop dancing when I was in high school, and my parents were like, "No, that's not happening." And so they had at that time invested so much time and money and just kind of making sure that I was, being trained pretty much by the best, right? So, um, and I'm glad they didn't, because I was able to build a career and get an education, a pretty good education, and so as a dancer and in dance pedagogy. So um, I this is where I am. Yes, I was going through that social, that teenage social situation where you spend so much time in dance class, and it's often that you have your dance friends and then you have your other friends that are not dancers who've also been your friends since you were younger. And so I thought I was just gonna go, to Broadway and dance, just like everyone dreams to do, right? I had no idea that there was a dance education and that you could go to college for dance, and I didn't learn that until later. And so, I was still a little hesitant, but at the same time, I was like, well, what else am I going to do? Because I'm a dancer, like this is who I am. So, it kind of just kept going through there. And even after college, I was like, I'm just gonna dance. Like that's what that's what I want to do. So kind of stuck with it. I would not back down. We go through a lot of rejection, and that rejection is really just giving you information on how to be better and what more you need to work on, or that maybe that job just wasn't for you. And so, because we are not the only ones out there searching for the same, opportunities. And so, if you don't get one job, then make sure you have 5 more on your list to keep auditioning for. And so that job will happen, or you'll get positions in another field that you did not know that you were a good fit for that. And that's kind of like a stepping stone to help you get to where you really want to be, or to help kind of build your platform and who you are as an artist or an arts and administration or a curator, or a presenter. So what I've learned is that we do everything. We're not just dancers, we're not just choreographers, we're not just teachers, right? So we are able to kind of to use everything that's in our mind, and that's working, to working with us to kind of be successful. So I think, let's see, I definitely, my Sharon Bullock and Mama Sadia are definitely the two staples, and those are my first teachers. And so they, I don't know what they saw, but they understood that a dancer needed to be well rounded. And so I think um, if I wasn't pushed to continue both trainings, then I wouldn't have been as successful as I have been as an artist, to be able to be in a contemporary company, and then dance for artists that have that their movement is Afro dance based, and so it's because I have that training, and I was supported in that training and having both and being able to do both, that I was successful. And then when I got to college, my teachers from NCSA at the time, could see that I was great in teaching, right? So I was offered opportunities to go and be an assistant at a governor's school, at South Carolina Governor's School, where I was assistant, to the main teacher, and so which is a person that provides guidance, and assistance at the same time, and you still take class, and so it's interesting to see um, who's on your side and who's like looking at you and kind of understands you and noticing things about you that you don't know that's happening, you know. So I've learned recently that I feel like my style always has, it's kind of like Afro modern, Afro contemporary, um, but like with a Latin feel in there sometimes, and so I don't want to say it's all over the place, but it's everything that I am, right? So in everything that I have learned to love about the world and about who I am and about the people around me that I've surrounded myself with, and so but what I learned with that is I like to dance as a dancer differently as when I'm performing. I like to do contemporary ballet works as a performer. And so, and which is what I'm transitioning my company. I did so much ballet training. Like, so in one of the companies I danced with in Mexico, her work was very contemporary, kind of almost rock starish, but we took ballet class for an hour and a half every day before we did anything, and so I think she knew the training that she needed her dancers to have to actually execute the work that she needed them to do. And so but I she picked dancers that were very versatile and that had trained in everything to do that. And so I'm learning now with my company, that's what I want to create works that have a very that my dancers need to be ballet proficient in, but they also need to be as grounded as African dance. They also need to be able to expand the sustain space as a modern dancer. And so right now we're taking classes. We've had Sidra Bell come in. We've had Jerome Johnson come in, did ballet. We've had Toya Chinflu come in to do Horton. I mean, not to do Horton, but to do Dunham. And so next, hopefully we can have a house dance teacher to come in so we can just start grooving, because that's everything that I feel like they need to be able to understand and participate in to continue, for me to continue to build and choreograph the way that I want to. So I created my company, I think in 2012. And so, and I'm not sure how it started. I don't know. I know I was asked to do something for the North Carolina Museum of History. I was asked to do for it was a 30 Americans exhibit was at the museum, and they brought in different choreographers from the area. I have no idea how they came across my name till this day. I did meet the curator, actually, Kristin. Her name was also Kristin Smith. I did a project downtown Durham a couple of years ago. And she said, I gave you, I had you come in. And I was like, that was like my first job as a company. And I had no idea. So I had to bring in people that I knew. I had one student that was finishing high school, who I just thought she was an amazing dancer. And then I had another dancer that I'd known for a while, who was mainly a ballet dancer, come in. And so we created this trio that was about 15 minutes long. And so had this crazy prop idea, was getting the props to the museum, and it blew off my roof. the roof of my car. And so I lost it. I mean, it was gone. And I was trying not to cry. And we still made it. And I created these walls. And we had these walls somewhat built out of this material, but it didn't make it. So we ended up doing the whole project. And I've done that project 3 times since. I've done that work for different reasons, projects. And so that was kind of my first thing. First project was I created a few solo pieces, and I realized that solos are great, but I miss dancing with people. I feel I don't want to say alone, but when I'm dancing by myself, because I grew up dancing in such a community of dancers, that still dancing solos is kind of like, I'm like, okay, it's me out there. Where's everybody else? But it's always an honor. But I love being in a group. I love being in a group, and so the company has grown quite a bit, and I am very fortunate to be often commissioned to do work. And I think that's an honor, because that's, people are looking and seeing what I'm doing, and they're supporting, and they feel that I have something to say with my work. And I definitely am honored for that. And so now I created shows, and I'm kind of pulling away from that right now, because I want to not just create a work for a dance show that's like an annual season. And so COVID has definitely put a halt in that. And so now I am working on an installation work, and that will come out this summer. And so we don't film until the end of May. I mean, not the end of May, but the end of April. And so right now we have rehearsal on Zoom on Fridays. So the company gets class first. So I bring in a guest artist, like I said earlier, to teach class, and then we go into rehearsal for about an hour and a half after class. And so right now we're working on this installation. That will be housed in a space in Durham. And hopefully, because of the amount of set there will be, hopefully it will be able to sustain itself for a little bit as an art walk for people to kind of come in and view whichever venue it ends up staying in. And so we've been working on that. So I've been measuring things and trying to, which is, I've never done an actual installation before. So this is my first one, and it will be a film because of COVID, and it will end up being a film project. So because we do have dancers that have medical personnel in their homes. So each dancer will come in, and their character will be filmed individually in the space. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have another project coming up with NCCU that I was invited to do. So that is also a film, but I'm just getting the details of that. So I did my teaching license at NCCU. And so it's nice to be able to go back to the program and work with their company, because that program has grown so much in the last few years. So it's nice to go back and work with the current company that they have in their dance program. I didn't know what's in it's because I knew I wanted my company to look differently. And I knew I know I love my dancers, and I didn't want to be a company where you get rid of your dancers and bring in dancers to dance exactly the way you want them to, right? I wanted to keep my company because they're great people, they're great dancers. We all move very similar, but yet differently. And so I wanted to help train them to work towards what I would like them to do. And so it's been great to see them evolve within this process. And so I didn't have idea. I mean, I was already asked to do another project, and that project has canceled, was canceled. And so I was like, okay, well, I had this idea kind of in the back of my head. I think we should do it now. And let's go for it and see what happens. And so yeah. And because I'm a project-based company, when you have that thought and you're thinking, yes, we need to do it, then you need to tell your dancers, because they're also choreographers, they're also teachers, they're dancing for other people. And so I had to get those dates on and kind of go ahead and build this plan, so that I could, secure their participation. Yeah. And so I hired an assistant last week because there's so many things going on. and so yeah, so it didn't mess up any plans really. It's as an educator, it's been really hard for public school students. And so my students are doing very well on Zoom, but they are tired of dancing at home in their kitchens, in their living rooms, in their bedrooms, in their garages, and so um, right now is just trying to kind of keep it fun for them at this point, and throw some technique in there, but keep them interested because they are having a hard time. They are having a hard time. Any, oh man, I think it's like there's so many. There's just little, those not little moments, but those moments that kind of sneak up on you. When we did the last project in front of the mural, it was in front of the civil rights mural. We did a project, continuing to tell, which is the name of the title of the mural, and so many people showed up, and it was outside. And it was it was in October, and it had been really cold. I think at that point it was starting to get cold, but this one day it was just beautiful outside. And so there were so many people out there. And I know there was a guy was out there that was actually in the mural. And so we were able to speak with him, and so many people that just heard about it and had been following the company, and also the curator that was a part of that too. They just came out to support, and from that show, I I did another project. We did the same project but in the church, and you're explaining your work, and you don't always know who understands your idea or what you meant. And there was a moment where the minister of the church was like, I got it. No, I got it. And I was like, wow. And that is a moment that that you don't hear that all the time. And so and she was sitting there very in a moment, and she's like, I got it. Yeah, I got it. I understood it. And I was like, yes, okay, great. And that, to me, that was one of the most recent moments for me that really stood out, because you just never know who's showing up. You never know who's being invited. And from her getting it, she wanted me to bring that in. She wanted another community to see what we created. So that is a proud moment. So my first job was teaching dance. At 17 years old, I taught for Durham Parks and Recreation. I taught a hip hop class. And I'm pretty sure I only had my car for like 2 months. So and I decided to apply. I don't know if my parents suggested it, or what. They've always been very good at suggesting things. They've been pretty accurate about helping me with my path. And so And so, yeah, I was 17 years old. I was teaching for Durham Parks and Recreation, and that was my first job. And so, I think since then, I've been teaching somehow. I mean, I've taught in a Parks and Recreation as a camp leader too, and kind of ended up being like the assistant, unofficial, like assistant director of the camp, because of course you have arts and crafts and you have sports and it's like everything, and so, and it's kids. And I love working with children. I've always loved working with children. So and so and then, with the governor's school, I did that for 2 years, South Carolina. And then I came back. I'm pretty sure I worked at Walltown Children's Theater, worked with them for so long, over 10 years, off and on. And so I know I was doing that also while I was in college. And I know directly out of college, I was working with them also. And that director there was also a teacher at NCSA, or UNCSA now. So that was that connection too. And so she had seen me grow from being in college to now. So, um, and I've so many places, so many places. And then because I speak conversational Spanish, I've been able to teach for one choreographer. We went to Aruba, and I was able to teach a group of students. I think it was like a school, their public school came and came into class with us. And because I was able to speak Spanish, they could understand pretty much everything I was saying. So I remember being on stage and teaching. Um, and so everywhere I go, everywhere someone brings me, I end up teaching, no matter the language. and so, uh, and so it's definitely, it's a calling, right? It's a calling, and being able to understand um, people in the way that everyone is able to move. And so they really say, dance is a universal language, and that's true. That's very, very true. So, and now I've joined the collegiate circle, which I'm super excited about, with Duke, coming as adjunct. This is my first semester, and and that's another proud moment of mine, actually, to realize that I was being recognized in that way, and that someone had me, in their mind, which is kind of waiting to find a place for me, to be a part of that faculty. So uh, so yeah, and I continued. I think I will teach forever. It was the students actually pulled me to that system, because I was contacted about joining the public school system from students. So it wasn't, I didn't know the job was open. I didn't know. It was like, hey, Miss Taylor, so we know our teacher is leaving and you're back. And I was like, oh, really? And so I applied for it. I mean, I didn't know. I had just finished my degree. So I didn't know really, I think happens to me very often. I don't know what's coming next. And I'm just not, although I have most of the time 2 or 3 planners and 3 or 4 notebooks, I have no idea what I'm doing next, really, or up until now. And so my life has just been able to work that fluidly. And there's obstacles in that, of course, but I've been very, not chill, but when I gave the advice earlier for artists that are auditioning, not, don't just have that one job, have 5 or 10 that you want to apply for, that you think you will fit for, and that one job happening will possibly guide your career. And so And so that is, me knowing that I was doing my professional career, say, hey, I need to finish my degree. And so I came back and finished my degree, was finishing my degree and finished it. And then students contacted me to apply for this job. And I was like, okay, no problem. Yeah. And at this job, met my husband. So, like it's, you just never, I think there's nothing wrong with planning every step of your life and being able to, um, but, but there for me, there has been a natural guidance for me, and I would also say from the support of my parents, really, yeah. So but support and understanding that I am apparently really an artist, and that I can move to Mexico with $300 and I'll be okay. So and just having faith. I think I've had faith in everything, like I think I've always had faith that it will always work out. Like, it'll work out. I'll be okay. It'll work out. And as long as I keep working, it'll work out. And I think that has been the key. Yeah. Oh man, Encore. I was home. Was I visiting? I may have been home visiting. I don't think I'd moved back yet. Maybe I had moved back. So I have to see. You have to ask Lindsay when I started, because I don't know when I started. I could have been visiting, or I could have just moved back. And Lindsay saw me and she said, "Hey, you want a job?" And I think maybe she was leaving for maternity leave or something like that. Like, she was transitioning. And so I was like, sure, no problem. And she was in the other space on Hillendale Road. And I mean, it had to be within like weeks, if not days, that I started working there. Yeah. And I've been with her and Phoenix wasn't born yet. So that'll be 12 years, I think, this year. Yeah. Yeah. 12 or 13. Because if I was visiting, then it probably was 13. Yeah. So yes, that's how. And I mean, which is amazing to me that it has been that long. And that's all it took. Hey, you want a job? Sure. Yeah, am I teaching? Okay. And it was great. It was great. I used to teach the tots. I used to teach the 18-month to 24. That was one of my classes. And I loved it. I didn't even know they offered classes that young at the time for children. Yeah. And so it led from there. Um, Modern class with the older students. Some students that are now in college, their first competition dance. Anna, first competition dance, yeah. And so and being in high school with her too. So actually watching you all grow has really been interesting. Hence, you're in college. I would promote that by making sure, hoping, I won't say making sure, because everyone has life challenges and things going on, but I would, in supporting them and taking all the types of classes that they can, and and being able to commit to them, and not just maybe just taking a workshop and that's it with that class. If you take a workshop and you find a discipline that you like, or a technique that you like, then maybe figure out how you can continue to pursue that technique and get into that class. And making sure that you take class, even if it's not your favorite class, right? Still, if you're signed up for it, finish it, complete it. And once you go to that next level, if you make it to the next level, that teacher may have a different perspective in teaching, and that may work out best for you. And that's what I learned for a lot of students being in the studios and in public school. It's a certain teaching style that works for some students and doesn't work for others. And that's fine. You still got to take the class, and that's okay, right? Because all the teachers have something to offer you, right? So my next thing, which I have been really, really pushing, and so in all my classes, is that we are not just building dancers with good technique, we're building confidence. And that is number one. And I think that the and I think that my peers that I grew up dancing with, we were so confident as dancers, and maybe we were just confident as people, but we were so confident, and we all got it, right? And we all pushed forward. And if we saw someone else working towards it, we were going to try to work towards it too. And it was like a good competition, not like, nothing cutthroat. If you wanted to be a part of this group, you knew what you had to do. And it's because we had confidence, and we weren't afraid to feel confident as who we were. And so that's my push now. And so, because I see dancers, once they get to a certain point, they kind of shy back, they pull away. And I'm like, no, I need that. That was great. Can you do that? Can you just be like this every time? And it's okay. And it's okay. This is what, as a choreographer, as the teacher, um, as the audience member, this is what we expect. We expect you to be on stage and to be confident. Expect you to be in class and to be confident. And so that's what I'm pushing now. That's kind of like my theory. That's always, and I love it. I love it when I see it. And I love it when students support it. So you have some classes and students clap, and in some classes, you just don't do that, because the expectation is that everyone dances that way, right? Like, and so, but I love when the students want to clap, or that when the person gets all the way across the room, they're like, great job. And it's and that's wonderful. I love that support, and it's a great job, because you didn't just do the combination correctly. Most likely there was a certain confident, like, presence there that they saw in you that time, that made it different for them. And so yeah. Oh man, it's like it's just, I mean, it's, first of all, we're a family. I feel like, oh my gosh, we've grown together, and we've watched, the teachers have grown together, and so the core teachers that have been there have grown together, and then watching all the students, um, grow, train, and develop into who they are, teenagers. And then those that come back and say hello, or those that don't dance like with us anymore, but they still like want to speak and like want to know how we're doing and everything. It's that family connection that has continued to build there. And then on top of that is hard working. I mean, it's I think about everything that the school does and offers for the students, and how many of them take those opportunities, and um, they're doing something every weekend or every week. They get it. And I love the hard work that has been instilled, I think from all of us, right? From all of us into the students. And that means a lot to me, because I feel like that means that the students are listening to us, that they believe in what we're saying, they believe the advice that we're giving them. And so it's like we're not just teachers to them. There's another, we're not just teachers, we're not just family. There's some missing word in there that keeps us binded together, for life, literally. Yeah. And no matter where we are, no matter where we are, right where we are. And so that is I think, yeah. No, just thank you for interviewing me, for whoever suggested suggested to interview me. I think I'm only at the school like once a week, but I think about everyone all the time, and so it's nice to be thought of, to be thought of. Yeah, because sometimes you just never know. Yeah. Okay. Bye.